Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'll be showing you my approach to slicing and layering breakbeats. I've referenced this technique in a few tutorials, but the original video that influenced my approach seems to have been taken down, so I thought I'd make my own. The purpose of this technique is to tighten the breaks so they feel more modern and can be easier to layer with other samples. Remember, this is just my approach and it's always good to experiment. This video is also to celebrate the release of my UK Garage Breaks pack, which is linked in the description, and I'll talk more about this at the end of the video, but it's worth checking out, and please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. In terms of break selection, my preference changes from day to day. I often start with a pre-cut or process break, but here I've chosen the raw think break. Our BPM is 130 and the break will be quantized to this BPM. The part of the break I want to slice is at the end. If we turn the metronome on, we can hear it's not currently in time. Warp mode has already been turned on. I'm going to zoom in to the kick transient. Right click and select set 1-1 here and delete the original transient marker. Then I'm going to drag the loop start point forward to where 1-1 is. Loop mode has also been activated here, as I just alluded to. Let's play it again to see if it's in time yet. Since the break's still not in time, we need to quantize the end. So I'll move the end warp marker to 2 and fix the end of the loop as well. This warp marker has been put here automatically by Live, but you may need to add one yourself, which can be done by double clicking. Just make sure it's in the right place. It will usually be a kick transient like at 1.1, which I showed you earlier. I recommend duplicating the audio or saving a new copy of your project at every stage of the process that's destructive, like cropping, which we're about to do. We're going to make the loop 1 bar. Loop in arrangement view and crop. We'll enable the repitch algorithm, as this is the most authentic to old school jungle, which is one of the styles that has influenced my approach. However, since I'm going to warp the break and this can cause further repitching, I'll be using the beats algorithm and transposing the break to get it closer to the pitch of repitch. In this case, this is +2. The idea here is that we're using an authentic technique, but we also have the flexibility to use warp markers to quantize the break. This should also lead to fewer artifacts since there's less time stretching going on. I'm now going to manually add warp and transient markers. This is time consuming but worth it, as Live's auto transients can be unreliable. I'll use transients for quieter hits and warp markers for louder ones, as well as those on beats, i.e. beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just make sure to delete the auto transients Live adds after you've done your warp markers and transients. So I'm going to do this now. Some of these already look good. You might find yourself adding some that are missing. I just double clicked on a transient to turn it into a warp marker. There's usually a tambourine just before the snare in Think, so make sure you're using the snare as your warp marker point. I'm going to quantize the warp markers at the end. I usually quantize to quarter notes, as I was saying, but you could quantize to eighth notes or smaller. I find if you don't quantize to beats, the break can sometimes sound like it's speeding up or slowing down. Before slicing to MIDI, I want to get some idea of how the loop will sound once it's sliced. To do this, I'll turn the transient loop mode to off and take the envelope size down. So that's telling me we could add another transient marker here. I could also experiment with deleting certain transients, but I'm happy with this. So I'm going to reset the envelope and loop mode and slice to MIDI. I'm using the default slicing preset, but I'll put a video up in the top right on how to create your own. First thing we need to do is transpose the break by 2 semitones as we did to the audio. So transpose and copy value to siblings. Then we can take the loop length to 0%, which removes those annoying pops and clicks. The kick is missing too, so we need to go into the MIDI and quantize slice 1, which is the kick, to beat 1. Now we can take the sustain all the way down and mess with the decay and decide how tight we want the break to sound. Two to 3 seconds is good if you want to tighten things up. However, if you want this as more of a layer, I'd take the decay much lower. I usually freeze and flatten to audio since audio is generally easier to work with, although you can try applying a groove first. You can apply grooves to audio too, and sometimes that'll work better. So this is my approach to layering. I have one of the loops from my UK Garage Breaks pack, which you heard in the intro. The loop uses both Think and the Amen break, and combining breaks is another good tip if you're making any breakbeat style. There's a hybrid garage breakbeat video I made previously, which showcases a similar approach, but this is a little bit different. I've upped the BPM to 133. We have the kick, which is a processed amen kick. You could use an electronic kick instead or layer different kicks. Here I've used the boom in drum bus to add more low end, which is tuned to G#1. The snare is from Think. But I've used the raw break before I sliced it, so I have flexibility with manipulating the ADSR. I've also monoed it and layered it with a rim shot. Rims seem to work better for layering than snares when it comes to breaks. We have an amen snare too, which is just adding some groove. And then there's that sort of jungly repitching going on at the ends of the loop. The think top is made with the same technique I showed earlier in the video. However, I've tightened it up even more using the transient loop mode, and I've also repitched it in order to tune it. There's lots of processing on the break, and I've widened just the tambourine using a combination of wider, free widening plugin, which doesn't cause phase problems, and alloy with multi-band imaging used to mono the break below 7.5K. So that area of the frequency spectrum is where the tambourine is. Then we have the hats. I've applied the same groove to the drums, but I've altered the settings from groove to groove. For example, the groove applied to the kick doesn't affect velocity, as I wanted the kicks to be consistent. In terms of processing on the group, that is everything without the kick, we have drum bus mainly to add drive, and on the group again, we have more drum bus with drive and damping again, and this helps things sound crunchy, and that's the aesthetic I've gone for with this pack. And that's the video. Check out the pack in the description. The 10 loops are split into their constituent loops, so kick, snare, break layer, hats, like they are here, and these are further split into over 51 shots. I genuinely don't think there are any other products like this on the market, and it's very reasonably priced. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.